And, today I thought I'd change it up slightly and talk a little about how to get support and information in smartphone and from smartphone, because obviously, we want to make sure that all our customers understand how to use every part of the system, and we want to make sure that where there are things that need to be fixed, things that aren't working the way they expected, that we can help people out as quickly as possible. So you'll see my screen here, and I just wanted to kind of reiterate a few of the ways you can get in contact with smartphone and the best practices around doing that. So first of all, for a lot of people may not be fully aware of just how extensive our documentation center is. You can reach that by just going up to the top, the question mark, and to the documentation. And the help center is incredibly extensive, and we have a great team that spends a lot of time every week keeping it up to date with changes in the system, creating new help documentation based on changing legislation or changing features or anything like that. And it's broken up into collections, as you can see here, pretty kind of um, standard types of collections where if you were just browsing through, you could find things. But of course, you can also search using keywords or using sort of key phrases. You can search for pretty much anything that smartphone can do, any part of smartphone, best practices, guides of how to do things, etc., are all in here. And I really do encourage you to look through here. A lot of the articles have videos or detailed with screenshots, walkthroughs. So it's sometimes, the absolute quickest way of getting a very quick or very simple question answered. And it's definitely something I recommend. A lot of people don't know how extensive it is. It's enormously extensive. I don't know how many articles there are at this point, but there's got to be hundreds at this point. I mean, there's a lot of articles in here, a lot of different parts, and pretty much whenever we launch new features, part of that process is making sure that we have documentation fully set up for it. So if you've got something new that you're seeing in smartphone and you're not sure what it does, your first bet is to come to the documentation and you'll be able to see what that's all about. So documentation center is absolutely a phenomenal resource. Another thing I want to point out before I move on to the support element is that we do have the smartphone user group inside Facebook, which is a great way not to get technical support. That's actually done through our support team and the live chat, but it's a great way of getting community ideas. And I see people in there regularly just asking, hey, what have people found as the best practices? And you get to learn a bit from your fellow smartphone users, people who may be in the same industry as you or who have been, are using smartphone in the same way. And it is definitely a great place to see how people are using the system, see what questions people have, and to maybe even get some feedback on some of the things you're trying to accomplish. Of course, you can always come to support, but when it's more of a personal preference or a best practice of how you want to do it, it's sometimes better to listen to your peers and to talk to your peers because they're the ones who are probably doing it the same way you are. And you can access that Facebook user group directly from inside of the dashboard here on inside a smartphone. And of course, it's a great place to sort of get knowledge from the community and to chat to some of us in smartphone. And also the most important place to get support, if you are coming up with a problem, if you've got something that isn't working properly or you're having a frustration in your system, we do have a live support that is there Mondays through Fridays from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time zone. So they're there for the vast majority of most people's working days, and they are available very, very quickly. We've got a large team of people, and they pride themselves in being able to get in touch with you quickly, to listen to you, and to help you to answer any problems and questions you might have. You access them through this little chat button on the bottom right-hand corner. You can see here that, again, you can search for some of the bits of documentation, or you can send us a message. And if you see, we typically reply in a few minutes. That is true. Our response times, the team is there. They're very quick to respond. They're very quick to look at problems with you and try and help you. But I also wanted to, as part of this, talk a little bit about best practices around contacting support, because I know very well that if something's not working, exactly how you want it to work, it can be hugely frustrating. It can be hugely annoying, and you just want to get it fixed, right? But of course, the fastest way to get something fixed is to make sure that we and our support team have the best information. So one of the things I always like to suggest to people, if I'm talking to customers and they're asking me about something, is to make sure that when a problem happens, contact support immediately. Because when we know something happened, we can look at calls, for instance. We can look inside the back end of the system. We can look at data around the calls. We can see what's happening, very easily. But if you just if you let it keep going and then we don't know about it, and then you say, well, it's happened 40 times. Well, we don't know that, and we don't know what to look for. So it's absolutely a really great idea to contact us right away, so that we can log it, so that we can understand and see if we can spot anything immediately for you. And the second part of contacting us right away is making sure we have the right information. So if you can imagine, this is obviously a very technical system. It's your phone system, you're texting, we've got video calling, we've got all sorts of things going on. And so if you've experienced a problem, if you've got agents and people inside your organization experiencing the problem, one of the other great things you can do is actually to record the problem for us. Because a lot of time, one of the ways we are able to diagnose, or, when we are brought with a problem, the first step that we try and do is to reproduce the problem, right? Because if we can reproduce the problem, we can find the problem and fix it, squash the bug, kill it, whatever it is. But if we can't reproduce it, then we don't know what's happening necessarily. And it's really, really helpful where people are, if you're experiencing a problem and you want to get help from support, the more information you get, including a recording, if you've got a Loom account or some sort of screen share account that you can do a recording of your screen, that is incredibly helpful to actually show us any sort of challenges that you're having in the system directly. It's really, really helpful for us because our team can then look, they can observe any problems, observe any things that are not working as planned, and try and narrow down any what the culprit is. And so the more information, whether it is, reporting any issues that you have on time, making sure we have full information of who, if it's a different agent, if it's not you, who it was, what their email address, who are they inside a smartphone, when were they doing it, what were they doing it, the more information you can give support, the better. And I can say that, the support obviously operates through this live chat system, which is also available on the website. If for some reason you can't log in, you've lost credentials or something, and through the mobile apps as well. If you're having problems on the mobile apps, that same chat system is there. And what will happen is if your issue can't be resolved there and then, because there's a wider thing we have to look at, then we will normally create a ticket for you inside our ticketing system and send that ticket to you via email so that you can keep track of it and keep track of any resolution. So we do our best to resolve things right here and there inside of the chat. But of course, sometimes that doesn't happen, and then you will be put into a ticket system, and you will have the status of that ticket and any questions we have to ask done via email, because it's maybe a longer process where we have to look into something specific. So those are the important ways of getting support from smartphone. Just to reiterate, it works really great from the mobile apps as well. The live chat, I've used it myself, and it works really well. So you don't have to think, I need to contact support when I get home or back to my office. And you find the chat, in case if you've never done it before, you simply find the chat by logging into your smartphone app, and on the settings page, which is, I think, the fourth icon on the bottom menu bar on the mobile app, you have a little section called help. And if you click there, the exact same pop-up that you see on my screen pops up. You have the same ability to search through the documentation, as well as to send the support team a message if you need to do that. So those are we thought today we just give some guidance on really the best ways of getting help from smartphone, to make sure you guys know exactly how extensive the documentation center is. Make sure you understand where the community ideas are, and finally make sure you understand how to give the support team, our support team, as much information as possible when you do have a problem.